Hi, welcome to Mondays with Mary. The last few weeks we've been looking at Pope Francis' message to young people from Panama, World Youth Day, which took place in January. And so today we just want to wrap that up with a brief look at the homily from the final Mass, as well as just an overview of the messages themselves. So first of all, in the homily he speaks very briefly about Our Lady, but when he does, he mentions that she did what she did because she loved. It was love that was the animating force, as our founder would say. The love that was her motivation, what compelled her to do everything that she did for the glory of God. So looking back, we can look at some of the things that she in fact did do and the love that motivated her. Our Lady, as we know, is first seen in the Gospels at the Annunciation. She's a young woman, a teenager really, but at that time of marrying age. And the angel Gabriel appears to her and asks if she will become the mother of the Son of God. And Our Lady says yes. There's many reflections that have been done on this, but today we want to focus on the fact that it was the love of God that moved her to say yes. If Our Lady didn't love God, if Our Lady didn't love the goodness in God, she certainly would not have said yes to him. She believed in his promises, as Pope Francis points out, but simply put, she loved God and therefore believed in his promises. And she loved God and therefore was able to embrace his will. She loved God and therefore was able to choose God. Because ultimately we choose whatever it is that we're loving most at that moment. If I'm not supposed to eat a chocolate chip cookie, but at that moment I love that chocolate chip cookie more than I love God, I'm going to choose the chocolate chip cookie. And that seems extremely mundane. And how could I love a chocolate chip cookie more than God? But we do it daily in our decisions that we make when we sin, when we fall. Because we only choose things that we think and that we see the good in. But obviously that's a misdirected love, a misdirected goodness. However, if we see the true good, the whole good, the love of God, then we're going to choose the ultimate good, which is God all of the time. And that's what Our Lady did and why she remained sinless, because she loved. She loved and she saw the good, and she was never disoriented as to what the greatest good truly was. And so Our Lady chooses God. She chooses God, and Pope Francis says she embraces life. And this is another thing that we want to do in our daily life. We want to embrace life. Our Lady embraced life literally by allowing the Son of God to become incarnate in her, body, blood, soul, and divinity. But she also chose life in that she embraced all that God promised, and she lived life to its fullest by saying yes, by living fully the love of God. And this is something we too are called to do, because ultimately the decision comes down to a culture of life where we're going to say yes to life, to goodness, to truth, to God, or a culture of death where we're going to say yes to sin, to weakness, to frustration, and lies. And so that's the daily choice. And if we can just break down in our mind the choice as that black and white, which really it is, it's going to be that much easier for us to pursue the good, the true, and the beautiful, and to say yes in every aspect to God. So we fast forward to the cross and we see Our Lady doing the same exact thing. She's saying yes to our Lord. He doesn't look the same. It's not the angel Gabriel. He's beaten and bruised and bloody and naked on a cross. And yet Our Lady says yes to him. She stands at the foot of the cross, mourning but not overwhelmed by grief, as Pope Francis says. And she is able to embrace once again life. In this moment of death, she's able to embrace life, to trust in the promise that God has for her, and to love her Son to the point of being there with him and allowing that mystical spear to pierce her own heart. And so we too are called to love amidst the death. When we see chaos around us, when we see death around us, we can stand with those who are mourning, and we can stand with those who are in pain, and we can stand with those who are most vulnerable. And in fact, by doing so, we embrace life, because we don't only embrace our own life and the life of God around us, but we literally embrace the life of those people who are most vulnerable. Our Lady wasn't standing there because Jesus was dead. Our Lady was standing there because he was alive, because he is life, because he is the way, the truth, and the life. And this is ultimately what we're called to do, is to embrace life in all of its aspects, in all of the people throughout the world, in every corner of the world, and embrace life and choose life, and thereby loving and manifesting that love day in and day out in our decisions that we make for the good, the true, and the beautiful. So next week I'll catch you and topic to be discerned. So we'll see you next Monday. God bless.